Is Grandad on the payroll?
Grandad is absolutely on the payroll.
Fucking oath.
Not well, I wasn't here for a cuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was there for work at the end of the day.
You're actually a really good friend.
This was recorded at the Media Joint.
Harder Baby, get ready to turn up the heat with Gravity Drinks Co.'s new Harder soda range. Sip on the delicious citrus explosion or ginger and lime, both delicious flavours that'll make you say, ah yes, with 8% ABV in smaller cans.
It's time to get naughty with your taste buds with a good reminder that sometimes smaller can be better. Over sugar, drink Gravity. Available in all Liquorlands and First Choice liquor stores nationwide.
That is so rogue.
Boy, that's a bit rogue.
Is it even that rogue?
Welcome back to another episode of A Bit Rogue. This week we have someone super cool from ABC Triple J, and they do a lot of content with their granddaddy, which made me think of something that happened to me this week. I thought someone was whistling at me, like wolf whistling, but it was...
You wish.
I kind of do wish. But then 5 seconds later, all it was this like old grandpa. He needed some WD-40 in his fucking wheelchair. It wasn't even him. It was the wheelchair. Oh. What?
That's a new level of like, you know.
It's sad. I'm 27. Like, I was like, I still got it.
Yeah. Is someone interested in me? Oh, it's a fucking squeaky old man's chair.
I've got an issue. The
Which one?
drought is still droughting, which is fine. But this guy I've been talking to actually sent me over the weekend 2 nudes, like to my text messages, a photo and a video, one after the other. And like I was G'ing him up a little bit. I'm not going to like blame him, but he had different doona covers on each of the photos, and I was like, what the hell? Also, like, totally hope he doesn't listen to this, but anyway, he had different colored doona covers on, and I was like, he's obviously got like a little bank of nudes and he's just flicking them my way. And I said to him, wow, you changed your sheets really quickly. And then he said, like, he kind of just brushed it. And I was like, hang on a minute. Nah, I'm going to save these photos to my camera roll, and I'm going to figure out when the fuck he took these photos. So the first one was a video. It's what? We're in June. Yeah, June. And the first photo he sent was from March 17. And I was like, I wasn't talking to him then. So that's so gross knowing that he sent it to someone else. And then just repurposed. Rank. And then the video he sent, I save it to the camera roll. August 21, 2021. That was 3 years ago.
A COVID nude.
Yeah. Ooh. So yeah, I was just like, should I just like...
Do any girls... Like, I know that there are some girls that don't appreciate nudes from men, and I can fully understand why. But are there any girls that actually do get around it? For anyone that's listening at home and didn't hear anything from Skye, that's because she was putting her hand up very quickly.
But it's because like I wouldn't like if someone DM'd me a random nude, like I would literally go to the police. Like, that's a crime. Don't do that. But like if this guy, it's like long distance. All right. So, you know, I'm not getting in person. If anyone,
we know, we've heard about it.
Anyone that would be doing long distance, like, you can't tell me you haven't seen a fanny on FaceTime.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like maybe this is just because of who I am, and I'm a straight male, but I feel like dick pics aren't that impressive.
No, it's not. But if you're like, I'm not going to go deep diving into my private life.
Come on.
Well, if I'm going back and forth with someone being like a bit spicy, and then they're like, oh, I'm in bed thinking about you. Like, fucking, all right, show us then. Show us. Are you being honest? And no, he wasn't being honest.
Is that why? Because you want to call them out on being honest, or because...
It's also called try before you buy, darling. I want to get G'd up for like fucking 6 weeks of my life and then finally hook up with him, and then it's just like a little micro.
That's fair enough.
There we go. Anyway, I'm done with this conversation. I want to just...
So was it a micro? Would you?
No, it wasn't micro, okay? And I don't want to talk about it any further because I'm definitely going to go see him because I liked what I see. Anyway.
Even though that the content was like you were next in line. Maybe in the queue.
It was a nil moment. It was an NIL moment.
Yeah.
And like probably a lot of NIL considering I got one from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the funny thing is...
It still turns you crank.
I'm a bit weirded out and I'm definitely going to put him in the gronk because I've got verbal diarrhea of the mouth.
You're also going to put him in your pants by the sound of it.
Probably. Probably. Whatever. Anyway, I'm done. I want the guests to come on now. I'm leaving it at that. That's too much. Hey, Tom. Thanks so much for coming in.
Hey, Skye. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Can you give me a little rundown about yourself, how you would give a little bio?
Yeah, so my name's Tom Forrest, but I go under Outback Tom. I've sort of been known in the past couple of years for making Outback cooking videos with my grandfather and showing off parts of regional Australia and what that lifestyle is like. And I've also been a journalist for the past 5 years and radio presenter and TV presenter. So these sort of random different mixes of things that I really like to do. But I'd say overall, just really enjoy telling stories and making films.
A media guy.
Probably just like a media guy. Yeah, pretty much.
But you do a bit of music as well.
Also do a bit of music, yes. I love my country music. Also love hip hop music randomly. So that kind of influence from the Kimberley where I grew up in Western Australia. I was like the country tunes, and then like I guess growing up was the young other kids listening to like, you know, American rappers. So a bit of that influence comes through too. I'm
a bit similar. I actually don't have like one genre that I love. Like I always feel so on the spot when people are like, what kind of music do you listen to? And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to say. Yeah,
and I mean, I feel like I've missed out then because I don't really listen to any electronic music. So when I'm in like the city and there's predominantly DJs or that sort of house music, I can't relate to that at all.
Yeah, right. Interesting. I want to talk a bit more about your media career, journo career. So you are on both ABC and Triple J, and I don't think many people know like they're actually in the same building. They're very well connected. But let's talk about, when did you start with ABC? Did you start with Triple J first? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a pretty fun and interesting media career so far. So when I was 16 years old, I was in a TV show called My Year 12 Life, and that show was about 14.
Were you 16 in year 12?
Yeah, that's when you graduate, isn't it?
My guy, I graduated when I was 18.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you'll get behind then, Skye.
Maybe that's why I'm just like, I've just subjected to a podcast.
Yeah. No, sorry. So I guess, you know, maybe I was 17 when I graduated, I think. But yeah, I was in a TV show when I was 16, or 17. And it was called My Year 12 Life. And
how did you get that? Like, how did that come about?
So a production company had sent out a casting call to all the sort of schools across the country, basically saying we're looking for year 12 or students who are coming into year 12 who would be interested in taking part in a TV series. The premise was 14 year 12 students around the country would self-film their year. We had the help of producers and, you know, things to make that all kind of work in a TV show sense. And so I filmed that show, you know, in the Kimberley, and had a great time. And it was on the Kids Network, ABC Me at the time. And that was my introduction to the media. And then I did a documentary after that called The Kununurra Kid, which was about a sort of self-discovery documentary journey, finding my lost Aboriginal family. So my dad was in prison at the time. He's always in and out of jail. And so in the documentary, we went and visited him in jail. I've got a really good relationship with him. And he sort of, you know, we found out where the Aboriginal family is. They're over in the eastern states. So,
where is the Kimberley?
So the Kimberley's in the top of Western Australia. Okay. And it's that sort of region, you know, Kununurra, Broome, Fitzroy Crossing. It's about 3,500 k's north of Perth. So it's just right at the top of WA pretty much. And that's where I grew up, went to high school, and was only there last week. Always go back as much as possible.
Yeah, nice.
So those sort of two early documentaries were the introduction into ABC and to the TV industry and so on.
Were you like the class clown? Like, how did they put you forward?
I applied. It was like a casting call, so I applied.
Okay.
The media teacher gave it to everyone. Like, there's a TV show coming up, casting call. I think the production company found my story interesting. Just, I was 16 or 17. I was living out of home. Like, was living out of home. My dad was in jail, young single mum. My attitude at the time was very adventurous and keen to learn things and wanted to be a photographer, wanted to be a helicopter pilot, wanted to be a hairdresser. So, hairdresser randomly.
So random.
Yeah. So all these sort of random things. And so they kind of liked this mix and balance of this Kimberley kid, that's what the production company really enjoyed. And so, from there, the two shows under the belt. It's really funny. You think that because you've done a TV show or you have a TV show named after you, at the time it was called The Kununurra Kid, that second documentary, you sort of expect to do that forever. Like, you just think as an 18-year-old, a young naive bloke, like, this is it. I'm going to, like, Hamish Blake, I want to be like, just doing like
I'm
Hamish
famous.
Blake. Yeah. And, I ended up just going back into working really normal jobs that I'd previously worked after this TV show. I was working at the pizza shop, working at the bottle shop. I worked for Parks and Wildlife, and it wasn't until 2019 that I got an Indigenous traineeship at the ABC, and that's when I started learning to be a journalist, where I've been the last 5 years. And there's been great opportunities within that 5 years, presenting Play School, presenting Backroads, presenting Triple J.
I didn't know you did Play School. That's so cool.
Yeah, I've just been super lucky, and I think that's just come from grabbing all these different opportunities.
Yeah.
Saying yes to a lot of things that typically I wouldn't say yes to.
Okay.
And it's funny how down the line, later on in the line, they really come back to help you out.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So you obviously go between Sydney, back home, and you were just in Broome.
I was in Broken Hill. I was in
Hill.
Broken Hill over the weekend, and then I was up in Broome and Kununurra last week.
So how do you feel going between the both? Like, how do you compare, like, let's say bush life with city life? Does it ever make you feel overwhelmed? Does it affect your mental health at all?
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting one. When I first moved to Sydney, it was super exciting. I remember for the first 8 months...
Had you been to Sydney before?
Yeah, I'd come to Sydney for work. So
Yeah.
I had a general idea of where I wanted to live, the areas I really liked, the areas I didn't love so much. And I guess the areas in Sydney for me would probably be like Darlinghurst, Surrey Hills, the inner west.
Proper city life.
Yeah, that kind of vibe. And I grew up in such a remote Aboriginal community that if I moved to Sydney, I wanted to do it properly. So for the first 8 months, I loved it. Even though I had trouble making close connections, I knew a lot of people. If I went out in public, I'd run into someone I know, or someone might even approach me and say hi. And it was after about 8 months that I first started feeling a little bit lonely in Sydney. That's when I really, really felt that.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first moved here, the excitement of even just going out by myself was great. Because I just sort of had that you would do that in the Kimberley. There's just this level of independence and a sense of adventure heading out. So if it was a Friday and I finished work, I'd just head out. I'd go for a beer somewhere, go for a scroll on the phone, say good day to someone, have a beer with them, on to the next pub. And I really enjoyed that sense of adventure. And it wore off after a while. That really wore off.
But also, do you feel like because everyone in town knew everyone, did you feel like you weren't as independent because you had eyes on you as such? Like, might get back to your mum if you were playing up a little bit, or... I
think maybe the actual sense of being anonymous in Sydney was cool because... Yeah. There was these different places to go and different events to go to and new experiences to have. Whereas back in the Kimberley, it's kind of the one main pub on a Friday. Everyone goes out bush to the same place. It's a really weird balance of the Kimberley, and that regional lifestyle is like all community. It's friends who help each other out. It's dropping into your friend's house. It's seeing your family almost every single day. Even when you don't live with each other, Mum used to just drive past the office and pick me up in the car, and would go for a coffee and straight back off. So yeah, Sydney is great. Has all these great opportunities. There's lots of fun and a lot of expression. You can really express your style and do that in Sydney, which I enjoy. But the Kimberley has community, and it's really hard for me to try and get both of those or find
it
the middle
is.
ground.
I feel like a lot of places in Australia are either very community based or, a bit sterile as such. But, there's so much opportunity in Sydney, like sometimes you do need to be here.
Yeah.
But I did see a video that the ABC posted on their TikTok of you. And this was in like 2022.
Right.
But you did a bit of a skit on dating in the bush, and you were like walking around being like, I'm in the op shop and there's only like vintage dolls and like there's no one at the post office and like that sort of thing. When you came to Sydney, did you find it really overwhelming that there was just like a pool of people to date?
Yeah. I think I got so overwhelmed. There were a couple of parts where I was on the dating apps quite heavily. I think just being so overstimulated, I wasn't on the dating apps the whole time, but there was a phase that I was super overwhelming. And I think there's also an unhealthy aspect of this this sort of illusion of opportunity. This sort of...
Because people are more accessible.
And you could go on a date with someone and think to yourself, no, like, there actually might be someone else who's better.
Yes. So you think that when you're like back home, that doesn't really happen as much? People try a little bit more to get a bit deeper?
Look, probably because your options are slimmer, but also there's downsides. Like growing up in the Kimberley and dating... You end up dating someone, then your friend dates them.
Could be your third cousin.
Yeah. It's like you could hook up with someone potentially, and then a year down the line, your best friend is dating them. It's something you do learn to get around and live with, especially if it happens when you're a bit younger and you're older. It's not such a thing. Whereas that is something that can be hard to get used to. Look, dating in the Outbacks. I think because the options are slimmer, when you do meet someone, you probably do put more time and effort into the connection side of things. But also the accessibility of someone is so much easier in the Outback. So if I was to date in Sydney, you might be able to catch up once a week. So it takes 5 weeks to catch up 5 times. And that's not many times
You're
over
actually
the space.
Really selling bush life to me. I'm like, maybe I should go to the Kimberley.
Whereas, if you went out in a regional town and met someone a night out, you'd then see them probably the next day at the cafe and then ask them if they want to head out, to a swimming hole later on that evening. And then on the Sunday, see them at the shops. And so there is that benefit of like making closer connection. We're back to the community sense as well. But it can also be a hassle. Dating in the Outback can also be like, oh my God, this is really tough and challenging and no one's in town and quite difficult.
Did you feel like you felt like a bit maybe not frigid, but like did you think that the Sydney girls were maybe a bit more intense in terms of like getting it on?
Oh, that's
from
a hard
like experience wise?
Rock your socks off.
Sorry, it's like going deep here.
No.
Literally.
No, I think, maybe growing up in a regional town, sometimes the mindset is a little bit different or the style of living is a little bit different. I feel like I'm a really confident bloke and I've gone through those patches of where I've tried dating and enjoyed it. I've gone through phases where I've tried dating and then I like hated it.
Yeah.
Fucking hated the whole thing.
I think it depends on like your overall life, right? Like where you're at with your career and what your goals are if you're traveling a lot.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. But if for some reason the dating content I do, people really enjoy it. Hey,
I loved it. I was watching it. I was like, slay ABC.
Yeah. And it's also nice to go a bit more risky. Which it doesn't seem that risky, but maybe for that organisation could be deemed risky.
Sex sells, dumb.
Yeah, I know. It does. And
I'm
so
into it.
Maybe I'm moving into that area slowly. But yeah, I do like I do like regional dating series. That I do really enjoy that stuff.
Yeah, that's cute. So with your social media, right? There is a lot of crossover. So obviously, like being a journo with ABC, they still love to use your skits and stuff. You incorporate your granddad or grandpa?
Granddad, yeah.
Yeah, with your granddad. He obviously features a lot with your cooking and some of the skits as well. Now you do have like quite a bigger presence now. Is granddad on the payroll?
Granddad is absolutely on the payroll.
Fucking oath.
We're quite fortunate, to be honest. It's something we just love to do. Like it's purely out of passion. Any sort of money that does come in is like a shared business account.
I love
that we like to use for various things that contribute to both. So, we went to Europe 2 years ago and we used the business account to fund that.
And he probably hasn't travelled that much.
Granddad never been to Europe in his life.
Stop.
Yeah. And so we have this great relationship, and it is interesting when you do start doing more work. Like, it definitely can take away from the passion of it and the creativity of it. But it also is nice to make funds on the side by doing something you really enjoy. I took Granddad to a red carpet event last year, to the TikTok Awards, and people have mixed feelings about that, but at the end of the day, the TikTok Awards are high production. There's a lot of money involved, and it's very high quality.
Yeah.
We got to do a stage performance and go on the red carpet. Granddad is 72 years old. He'd never been to a red carpet event. He'd never been on...
I mean, not many people have.
No, true. But I think to have at 72 years old, leaving the bush to come and see this big high production event with lots of TV people and music people was really exciting. And it's great that I get to take him along, that we get to do that together. And this year, hopefully me and him can go to Japan. That's like the next thing on the cards.
Yes, he would love Japan. I went to Japan this year, and it was like, especially for food, like you'll get so much inspo.
Yes.
I don't know how you're going to do some bush Japanese crossover, but I'm sure you'll get creative.
Maybe we can go regional and, hook up with someone who can teach us how they cook in the regions,
I'm looking forward to seeing that. Now I want to move on to your music.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about it before, but is that something that you want to pursue more? Like, what are we doing? Because I looked through your highlights and I was like, I think this is satire. And then I went over to the next highlights and I'm like, wait, he's actually a really good singer.
Yeah. No, thank you. I've just always had these different, random passions and hobbies. And I've been really fortunate with my family, my mum specifically, to really support those. Even with the music, like the first song I released with the guitar, and it was a real hectic story. My father had written a song from prison. My man was locked up, right, in the slammer, writes a song, sends it to me on like a handwritten page. And then I got a guitarist friend and we sort of read out the lyrics, put chords to it, recorded it, and then put it out on ABC radio, and my dad listened to it from jail.
Oh,
this like kind of full circle moment. So music's always had this really sort of personal connection. It's a way like me and my father bond and have a great time. It's also a way of, of expression for myself, whether it's through country, folk, or the hip hop music. I would like to give it a bit more of a crack. I think right now I don't take it that seriously, and I'm still lucky for it to get, radio plays nationally, which is really fortunate position. Like, oh yeah, I don't really mind,
Yeah.
I think it would be fun to go all in, and some people do definitely think it's satire. Like, I'm from the Outback, I cook in the Outback, and I also do hip hop, and essentially that's spitting bars, or and that can be taken as not quite as seriously, which I don't mind, because maybe I don't take it that serious either. But I think it's nice just to indulge in various different hobbies and trying new things, and often I feel like we put up hurdles in front of ourselves. I remember when I first was releasing music, people would come up to me and be like, oh, I heard your little song project. I heard your little rap thing. And
there's a lot of small poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
Tall poppy syndrome. Is it small or tall?
That tall poppy syndrome. Yeah, that cutting it down. And I think that's a subconscious thing too. Like, oh, I saw your little TV thing. I saw... and then when the songs were getting played on national radio, those same friends would be posting it to their story, tagging me, like, hey bro, you're on radio. So I think I've been really fortunate to see that full circle moment of really pushing through and just sort of taking pride in what you do. I think
100%.
Look back when I posted videos of me singing a couple of years ago. It's pretty terrible. It doesn't sound all that great. And now I've got to support some great acts and sing with even Ziggy Ramo the other day. I got to sing with Ziggy Ramo and a bunch of other great First Nations musicians, or John Butler's wife I supported. Mama Kin is her name in the Kimberley. So I've had a really good time with music already, and it's something I'd like to put more time into, especially being in the city. There is a great opportunity to collaborate too. Yeah.
How fun. And my last thing for you, what's your dig with netball?
Oh, the dig with netball.
I love netball.
Yeah. I actually played netball last night, actually. We
won. Do you play mixed?
Played mixed netball. We won.
I'm in mixed
Scored
too.
a couple goals. No,
Are you a shooter?
I go wherever. I go GD, centre or shooter.
You're not that far off the hoop, so that makes sense.
Yes. I actually love netball. I do a lot of making digs at and do netball tutorials on
Yeah, I couldn't tell if you were joking or not. I'm like, I love netball.
No, I actually love netball too. I'm a massive fan. Played since I was young. I remember playing in high school actually, and played in Broome and now play in Sydney. I think it's a great sport. I think it's a good sport because it's non-contact. Which is great. I beg
to differ. I did sprain my ankle.
Yes,
not that long ago.
true. I don't want to play rugby because I don't injure myself.
That's
nor do
fair.
I want to play AFL. So mixed netball is like a really good middle ground.
Oh my God, hit me up if you ever need a sub.
Okay.
I love netball.
Yeah, we can absolutely do that.
I'm actually very good at
Skye,
netball.
Do you love netball?
I love netball.
Go on, say it one more
Confirming
time.
that, right?
I want to go see my first Swifts game actually.
Why do you want to go and see them?
Because Sydney Swifts.
Oh, I thought it was because you love netball.
Yeah, I love netball.
No, good. So do I actually. I think there's a...
No, do you love netball?
I love netball.
Oh, cool.
I love it.
Do you know who loves netball as well?
Who?
Melanie Bracewell. I'm going to mention her in every episode until she comes on the podcast just
You should
quietly.
get her on.
Thank you.
Melanie, come on, please. But no, I'm a massive fan. And I got some, a video I made attracted attention from I actually don't know her last name, but she's a famous netball player. So some of the videos I've made has attracted attention. They love the muck around tutorial videos.
I don't know if you'll remember this because I'm a little bit older than you. But
Right.
when I was in primary school, Liz Ellis had like a really strong chokehold on us because ASICs, what they did, they had like these sick little white runners with green lines and you got a free netball.
That's cool.
So at lunchtime, like if you didn't have your free netball, you obviously didn't get your runners from ASICs.
Who was it, sorry?
Liz Ellis, she was a slay netball player when I was in primary school.
The age difference is showing. I'm sorry.
Well, she was on I'm a Celebrity last year or the year before, so...
Linear TV, the age is showing. I'm sorry. It's all streaming services.
Okay, sorry, Netflix.
About that. Sorry to bring that up.
Now, did you come prepared with a rogue moment?
I did, yeah. This was real. This is pretty fucked too, actually.
You say fun or fucked?
Fucked.
Love to hear it.
It was a pretty fucked experience. I think it was super rogue. So, a work colleague and friend of mine were on a work trip quite a long time ago, quite a long way back, and we're on a work trip. We're out of town. The budget was low for the organisation I was working for, so they put us in a shared hotel room, as in just one hotel, me and her. We are very close friends. So the deal was she sleeps on the bed one night, I sleep on the couch. The next night we change over and I get the bed and I get the couch. And we were sort of joking on the way, like I was sort of saying to her, I hope you can get someone, like take someone home so you can go camp at their house and I can stay in the bed for both the nights. Anyway, she said, no, I can't, actually, hold it. No, actually, she just couldn't. She said no. She said that, no, that won't happen. You were here for work. We went out drinking. We went out drinking after our first day of work, drinking all night, At 2 a.m. she meets someone and they're sort of hooking up on the dance floor and I'm just sort of cruising about the pub or whatnot. And we scooter home. Like I dinky her home, we scooter home and, sort of saying, oh, why don't you go back to his joint? I could have said on
Are
the
you
bed
really
tonight.
trying to get the bed?
Yeah, I was really trying to get the bed. We get back to the hotel and she's like, oh, should I just invite him over?
Shut up.
So I was really turned. Like I'd been drinking all night. So I thought, yeah, you know what? Just bring him back. Like just do it anyway. Who cares? Like I'll go for, I'll just bring him back if you want. Anyway, she brings him back. We're in the one hotel room. And I just, I was like, I'll put in my headphones and listen to rain noise.
Shut up.
And I'm on the ground. And my colleague was like, don't worry, like none of it's going to happen. He's just going to camp over the night. He still ends up having a crack on the bed while I was asleep on the ground.
You
on
were
the
not
couch.
asleep.
No, I was
No,
asleep.
you weren't.
I was 100%
No, you weren't.
asleep.
You were listening.
So I had a rain noise in my headphones, turned over to the side, sleeping while, the colleague and the random fella had
Doinked.
a crack on the bed.
Boof on the bed, Tom's on the floor.
And I feel like, yes, I feel like pretty rogue, but it's almost like an IOU. Do you know what I mean?
It's interactive Pornhub.
Well, I wasn't here for a cuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was there for
Jesus.
work at the end of the day.
You're actually a really good friend.
But yeah, 100%. I was like, I'm sure if I got myself into that situation, that my colleague would do the absolute
Would
same.
you not just like sit outside for a little bit and let them boof and then go back inside after they were done?
So it was 3 a.m. I did go onto the balcony. I was on the balcony on my phone. But it hit a point where it's like, my boy's not hitting 2.5 minutes. Like, I don't know what, so it was like, I can't, wage on that.
Yeah.
And I'd rather not fully know. Okay, you guys go, I'm going to go outside and knock on the door when you're done, So sort of the rain noise in and went to bed.
That is pretty rogue, if I'm honest.
I felt like it was pretty rogue.
I like that story.
Yeah,
That's a
thank
good
you.
one.
It was, and something we still laugh about and we're still a very good friends to this day.
Memories. Now I have a very short game for you. I've got 2 would you rather questions.
Okay.
So the first one, would you rather be stuck in the bush for 4 weeks with no reception or stay in the city for the rest of the year?
I'd go bush for 4 weeks, no reception, I think, for sure.
Interesting, because you were having a little way about the tiny home situation, being stuck there after a while.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, put me out bush, put me in regions. Yes, I wouldn't mind being able to still scroll on Instagram, but no, 4 weeks, no reception. To be honest,
probably good detox.
I'd probably enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There might be hard parts, not getting my dopamine fix, but I'd take the bush option.
Love to hear it. Never cook again, but you have access to unlimited Uber Eats, or you're able to cook, but you only have one arm.
I had an addiction to Uber Eats last year where I ordered the same thing every day for almost a year, so like maybe 10 months. Oh, the never cook again, that's a bit of a hassle. But no, okay, look. Yes, I love cooking. I'm taking the never-ending access to Uber Eats.
Really?
At 100%.
You don't
Whatever
think
you want.
girls might be a bit like empathetic towards you just having one arm?
I guess I've been lucky enough to do fine without having to lose an arm. No. I take the Uber Eats. For sure. I love Uber Eats, and you get any cuisine you want. Any day.
You can even get groceries now.
Absolutely. Yeah. So no, I'd take that one. Yes, I do love cooking, but I wouldn't lose an arm for cooking.
All right. Fair enough. Well, thank you so much for coming on A Bit Rogue. It's been very fun to chat to someone from the ABC Triple J world, because I thought you were all bloody vanilla, but it turns out you guys are rogue as fuck.
Thank you so much for having me on, Skye. It's been really, really nice, and I hope to catch up again soon. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to A Bit Rogue, where we uncover the stories of athletes, artists, and celebrities with their most rogue moments. Episodes dropping every Wednesday.